new Audi Q2 is the latest addition to the German luxury car maker's burgeoning crossover range, and its name tells you all you need to know. Q signifies it's an SUV, of sorts, and that small number indicates its pecking order below the larger Q3, Q5 and Q7 models. The fact that it's an even number ushers in a new era of more sporting crossovers, following the logic of BMW's X4 and X6. Yet despite something of a coupe cool aesthetic, the Q2 is aimed squarely at rivals such as the Mini Countryman, Mercedes-Benz GLA and BMW X1. At 4.19 meters long, the Q2 is 13 centimeters shorter than in-house rival, the A3 Sportback, with which it shares its mechanical underpinnings, yet with 405 liters of luggage capacity it's got a 25-liter bigger boot when carrying 5 passengers. Pricing is very close to the A3 Sportback, too. The cheapest Q2 1.0 TFSI in SA spec will cost £20,230 when UK sales start in November 2016. Audi Q2 boasts decent choice of engines. The entry-level Q2 is the 1.0-litre 3-cylinder TSI turbo petrol with 115 horsepower. Other choices at launch will be a 1.6-litre TDI diesel, also with 115 horsepower, a 1.4-litre TFSI turbo petrol and a 2.0-litre TDI diesel, both with 150 horsepower. Audi has deliberately matched the petrol and diesel power outputs, though the diesels will have more torque, greater economy and higher price tags. All the engines we've tested have suited the Q2's character well, and even the smallest 1.0 provides decent shove, albeit with a strained 3-cylinder thrum. The likely UK bestseller is the 1.4-litre TFSI petrol with 150 horsepower. This is a high-tech engine, able to deactivate 2 of its 4 cylinders during low-stress driving in order to save fuel, a process that's so smooth you'll only notice it if you're watching the display on the instrument cluster. Yet it also provides punchy performance and plenty of driving enjoyment. Impressive new auto gearbox. The S-tronic transmission is a new 7-speed unit that's very snappy under manual control, although automatic gear changes don't always happen when you'd like them to. Many buyers may be better served by sticking with the standard 6-speed manual gearbox and pocketing the change. The stick shift has a pleasant action and its gear ratios are well matched, allowing for easy progress. Most Q2s will be equipped with front-wheel drive and traction is good. We'd question the need for quattro 4-wheel drive, available only on the higher power engines. Even on 18-inch alloys the Q2 is comfortable on all but the bumpiest roads, regardless of whether you stick with the standard suspension or option the adaptive setup instead. If you do go for the latter, selecting dynamic helps keep roll in the corners under greater control, which suits the sharp steering and generally eager responses of the Q2's chassis. The ride gets firmer as a result, but you can always switch back to comfort once you've finished having fun. Distinctive design. There are a number of distinctive elements on the outside that will help you spot the Q2 on the road, notably the square, widely spaced taillights and colored C-pillar panel, which can be changed at the dealer for a refreshed appearance. Despite this, the Q2 retains a very Audi presence, a theme that continues into a cabin that is at once clearly similar to the A3 but also slightly different. Items like the door handles are chunkier, the standard fit central display is fixed on top of the dash like a protruding iPad, and you can pick contrasting colors for some of the trim elements. This is part of Audi's effort to increase personalization choice, but the Q2 remains more conservative than anything from Mini. Equipment levels are reasonable across the Q2 range, but the best-selling sports spec is particularly good value, splitting the difference between entry-level SA and range-topping S-line. Standard features on the Q2 Sport include 17-inch alloys, contrasting Manhattan grey exterior elements, satellite navigation and cruise control. You also get Audi Drive Select, which allows you to tailor the car's responses between auto, efficient, comfort, dynamic and individual settings. All Q2s get autonomous braking for added safety and progressive steering to balance low speeds with higher speed driving pleasure. Previously this has sometimes felt odd in use, but seems well calibrated here. Verdict: the Q2 makes Audi's premium appeal accessible to a whole new stratum of SUV buyers, and thus almost instantly guarantees success in the current market. It isn't as playful as a Mini, but many will prefer the Q2's maturity. It's still good to drive and certainly better resolved than the Mercedes GLA. 3 petrol engines, 3 diesel. Smallest engine is 1.0 3-cylinder, fastest is 2.0 TFSI with 190 horsepower in typical Audi fashion. There's a plethora of engine choice for the new Q2 crossover. Choose from 3 petrols and a trio of diesels at launch in November 2016. 3 petrol engines proceedings kick off with an eager, downsized 1.0-litre 3-cylinder engine, which boasts 115 horsepower and commendably frugal combined fuel economy of 51.4 miles per gallon. No CO2 figure has been published yet and the Q2's efficiency ratings are provisional. This is a sweet revving engine with a thrummy, 3-cylinder character that provides sufficient performance for this small crossover, although no acceleration figures are issued yet. Next up is the 1.4 TFSI, which has cylinder-on-demand technology that shuts down 2 of the 4 cylinders at light loads to save fuel. Hence Audi quoting 54.3 miles per gallon, while sprinting from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 8.5 seconds. This is the likely UK bestseller, and for good reason. It's well-mannered and drives well, although we preferred the 6-speed manual to the 7-speed S-tronic auto on this engine. A more muscular 2.0 TFSI is also offered in the Q2, delivering a hearty 190 horsepower and pocky performance, although no official acceleration or economy figures are confirmed. We have yet to test this derivative. A trio of diesels. The smaller the car, the less likely buyers are to pick a diesel engine, but Audi still says the 1.6 DDI is the second most popular motor in the Q2. We can see why. It is refined and provides elastic twang for overtaking. Again, no 0 to 62 miles per hour times yet, while topping 62.8 miles per gallon in mixed use, says Audi. If you want quattro 4-wheel drive on your Audi Q2, you'll have to step up to the larger 2.0-litre diesels. Pick from outputs of 150 horsepower or 190 horsepower, with a commensurate step up in performance and average fuel economy claims of around 51.4 miles per gallon. We'll publish the full data as soon as they are released by Audi. Feels like an A3 on stilts. Adaptive dampers optional. A good balance of ride and handling. The Audi Q2 is based on the oily bits that underpin a host of VW Group small cars, including the VW Golf and Audi A3. So it should come as no surprise that it drives rather like a compact, slightly taller family hatchback. It isn't at all daunting to pilot around town and the car is easy to place on the road. We found no fault with any engine and trim combination. All handle well and can be hustled around city streets or your favorite country lane with a degree of poise and balance that belie the Q2's crossover status. It feels more like a warm hatchback than a tall SUV on tiptoes. Adaptive dampers. The suspension on most Q2s uses standard dampers, but you can select adaptive dampers as an optional extra, whose stiffness can be tailored via the Audi Drive Select system to engage comfort or dynamic modes depending upon your mood. This is a nice option to have, but not compulsory, as we think the Q2 rides and steers quite well enough on a standard chassis. All Q2s come with progressive steering, which varies the amount of input required at the wheel to turn the car, depending on your speed. Unlike rival systems, we were impressed by this setup. The helm feels incredibly natural considering the complexities of the variable rack attached to the very feelsome and high-quality leather-trimmed steering wheel. Front-wheel drive and quad-road drivetrains available. The vast majority of Q2s will come with front-wheel drive and this will suit most owners down to the ground. Yes, you can chirrup the front wheels if you nip out of a damp T-junction, but traction for the most part is excellent even with the punchy turbocharged engines. However, both 2.0-litre diesels and the 2.0 TFSI petrol engine can be ordered with quattro 4-wheel drive, and if you live in a remote area and want the security blanket of improved traction, we'd heartily recommend the extra security it brings. Another knockout Audi cabin. High-quality materials abound. First options, but subscription costs to the cabin of the Q2 is probably its strongest ace card. Audi really has nailed its interiors of late, and the quality of materials used and the underlying design are knockout successes. It feels like a properly premium small crossover from behind the wheel. The basic architecture of the dashboard is inherently logical and the 4 swiveling round air vents lend a classy touch. Audi is offering a slew of personalization on the Q2 and, depending on trim level, you can pep up the cockpit with a choice of body-colored trim, silver accents and other highlights. This is a colorful, crisp, modern place to sit, and Audi claims there are 5 million color and trim variations, so no two Q2s need look the same. A very digital cabin. The Q2 really comes alive inside when you start plundering the options and spec lists. We've already seen Audi's virtual cockpit in the TT and A4 ranges, and here it pulls off the same tech-first trick, replacing analog dials with digital ones. The widescreen 12.3 inches instrument pack comes alive, flicking between conventional speedo and rev counter one moment or full width mapping the next. It's a pretty cool option. We would also recommend the £500 optional head-up display. A small perspex screen pops up from the instrument cal in the driver's line of sight, beaming up key information such as speed and sat-nav directions, so you never have to take your eyes off the road. It works well. Maps, infotainment, connectivity. So many new cars nowadays have digital connectivity baked in from the outset, and the Q2 is no different. Even entry-level SAE models come with a 7 inches TFT screen as standard, and this is the car's digital hub, controlling audio, telephone, navigation and a multitude of settings. The Audi Connect package is available as an option, bundling in niceties such as Google Earth, app streaming and the option to sync the car with your work calendar, so it can remotely set the destination for your next meeting. Clever stuff, but be warned, the online services come with a subscription fee. Yes, your next Audi is just like Netflix and is likely to pop up on your bank statement with increasing regularity. Comfy ride quality. Good standard seats, a generally peaceful cabin. The Audi Q2 is an easy car to drive and the ride and handling impress, with a mature, plump quality to the suspension which absorbs the worst road bumps to leave the cabin remarkably serene. This is best achieved on the smaller wheels. However, 16-inch rims are standard on the entry-level SAE, and you should remember that every size up will damage the ride quality a little. Sport models come with 17-inch wheels, while S-Line adds 18s, generating more patter over broken surfaces. The standard seats prove comfortable even after a whole morning spent in them, and the range of adjustment in the front is sufficient for even very tall drivers. We detail some practical shortcomings found in the rear of the Q2 in the interior and boot space section of this Audi Q2 review. Noise is well suppressed, although you should note the 1.0 TFSI is a buzzier, louder engine than its 4-cylinder compatriots. The 1.4 TFSI is especially refined. We struggled to tell when its cylinder-on-demand system was operating in 2 or 4-cylinder mode. Familiar SAE, Sport and S-Line trim. Sport Spec is the UK's bestseller. Plenty of optional extras and personalisation. Pick from 3 trim levels on the new Audi Q2, starting with SAE, climbing through the UK's best-selling Sport Spec and topping out with the more dynamic S-Line. Standard Audi Q2 equipment. All versions of Audi's smallest crossover come with 16-inch alloy wheels to look good, manual air conditioning to stay cool and a smattering of gadgets to keep you entertained. The Audi smartphone interface is standard, so you can hook up your iPhone or Android mobile, and the MMI Radio Plus comes with a 7-inch monochrome screen. All Q2s have contrasting lower bumper moldings and a C-pillar blade in Manhattan grey. Base SAE models come with interior cabin highlights in white or orange and standard seats with aspect cloth upholstery. Step up to sport models to gain the MMI navigation package with 3-month subscription to Audi Connect, larger 17-inch alloy wheels, automatic lights and wiper, plus cruise control. The interior is pepped up with aluminium and red, yellow styling trim. The top S-Line spec gets LED headlights, 18-inch wheels, snazzier styling details and part leather sports seats. There is also a loaded edition #1 special edition available in the first year in the UK, packed with extra gear such as 19-inch rims, unique paint and trim and a rear diffuser. Optional Audi Q2 equipment. How big is your budget? There is certainly plenty of scope to spec your Audi crossover up to sky-high specification, if you're not careful. The virtual cockpit replaces analog dials with a full digital instrument pack. None of the options have been priced yet, and we'd also recommend the head-up display, which projects the speedo and nav instructions onto a perspex screen in the driver's line of sight. Adaptive cruise control with stop and go uses cameras and radar sensors to maintain a predetermined distance to the car in front, and can even drive in a traffic jam for you. We tried the latter function and found it frustratingly jerky in stop-start traffic. Audi Connect lets you pay to subscribe to on-the-move apps and services and can be included for 3 years at point of purchase, but remember, some of the neat functionality, such as Wi-Fi hotspots, will incur a subscription fee after that grace period. Audiophiles should consider the mega-sounding Bang & Olufsen sound system, with 705 watts, 14 speakers and a subwoofer for plenty of musical oomph. Not been Euro NCAP tested yet. Q2 is dripping with safety kit. Pedestrian detection is standard. The Audi Q2 is too new to have been crash tested by the safety wizards of Euro NCAP, but all the pointers are that this will be a particularly safe small crossover in which to transport your precious family. It is built from the very latest in high-strength steels, and Audi claims the passenger cell is unusually stiff and resistant to crushing forces. If you're unlucky enough to be in a collision, there's a full suite of airbags to protect both rows of seats, as well as seatbelt protectionists to hold you in position. What is more tangible in the showroom is the sheer amount of safety kit on offer. The Q2 is bristling with technology designed to prevent you having an accident in the first place, although you should note that much of it is optional. Safety kit includes niceties such as head-up displays so you're not looking down at the instruments, standard across the range emergency braking, which slaps on the anchors if car or child pulls into your path unexpectedly, extra cost blind spot detection systems, and the traffic jam assist accessory, which uses cameras and ultrasonic sensors to drive in congestion autonomously at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. The thinking being that microchips are more reliable than human beings in dull city driving. Not the roomiest SUV, fine in front, cramped in back. Deep boot has 405-litre capacity. The Audi Q2 is a compact crossover, and at less than 4.2 meters in length, it's considerably shorter than an Audi A3 Sportback or Q3. So don't expect the laws of physics to have been stretched too much by Audi's engineers. It's roomy enough in the front, but there are compromises in the rear. If you only occasionally carry rear seat passengers, then it's likely to fit your needs. 2 adults can fit back there, but there is less room for legs and heads than you'll find in larger SUVs. All but the most long-legged children should be fine, however. The Q2's boot measures 405 litres in capacity with the rear seats up, placing it ahead of the beige Mini Countryman rival, but lagging behind the larger low-abs you'll find in the bigger BMW X1 or Mercedes-Benz GLA. Flop the rear seats forward and you'll boost load space to a more echoing 1050 litres.